Have you ever wondered if a seemingly minor delay could be hiding something massive beneath the surface? That's the question rattling the entire Delta Force mobile community right now. For months, people have been holding their breath, expecting a swift global launch for this much hype title. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the developers dropped a bombshell. They were pushing back the release date. At first, it seemed like just another gaming delay, nothing special in a world where release dates often shift. But as soon as insiders began whispering about controversies, hidden technical challenges, and monumental features that could change mobile gaming forever, the community realized there might be more to this story than anyone was letting on. The hype train for Delta Force Mobile left the station a long time ago, building momentum the moment its teaser trailer hit the internet. Gamers across the globe got their first glimpse of a promising new entry into the military shooter genre, a game touting fluid controls, realistic combat, and an experience that could supposedly rival even the biggest franchises on PC and console. The excitement grew so intense that many fans anticipated a swift rollout. They expected an official release date announcement within weeks, if not days. Then real news arrived, global release postponed until further notice. In a single moment, that carefully constructed wave of hype turned into an ocean of frustration. People began pouring into online forums, flooding social media, and demanding answers. Why the sudden shift? Why risk alienating an already excited audience? Some speculated that the developers might be under pressure from massive publishing partners who were calling the shots. Others swore they had heard from so-called insiders that the game's codebase was riddled with serious bugs that made it nearly unplayable beyond specific test regions. A handful even believed the entire delay was a strategic marketing ploy cooked up to generate more buzz. Regardless of which theory people latched onto, it became clear that the official story, we want to perfect the game before the global launch, was only scratching the surface. Every new trickle of information uncovered deeper layers of secrecy, fueling even wilder rumors. While everyone was busy pointing fingers at the development team, a curious twist emerged. Delta Force Mobile had already gone live in China. This wasn't just a small-scale test either. Thousands of players were already enjoying the game in its localized form, uploading gameplay highlights on streaming platforms, and dishing out feedback that ranged from glowing praise to scathing critiques. In fact, it seemed that some of the features teased in the global version, such as advanced maps and futuristic combat gear, were already playable there, leaving global fans to feel like they were being left in the dark. If the developers truly intended to refine the game before a worldwide debut, why release it first in China without a hitch? The stark contrast between a fully operational Chinese version and the indefinite global delay became a central source of controversy, pitting excited but disappointed international fans against each other in online debates. Beneath all the noise, a new narrative began to form. Perhaps the developers were dealing with behind-the-scenes roadblocks that went far beyond typical bug fixes. Whispers started circulating about top-secret funding negotiations and possible partnerships with major publishers who wanted exclusive rights. Others spoke about potential internal struggles, clashes among creative directors, programmers, and business executives who had divergent visions for the game. Though no one could confirm these reports with absolute certainty, the sheer volume of rumors made it difficult for fans to maintain any faith that Delta Force Mobile's eventual launch would be smooth. A set of documents emerged online, purporting to be the official Delta Force Mobile roadmap for 2025. Whether these details were leaked by an insider or intentionally dropped by the developers to calm the storm, no one could say for sure. Nonetheless, the content of this roadmap was jaw-dropping. According to these details, not only was Delta Force Mobile slated for an open beta in February 2025, but the full-fledged global release was penciled in for April 24th, 2025. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Scattered throughout these documents were references to possible console releases, cross-platform functionality, extensive customization systems, and most shockingly, aerial combat features involving fighter jets. If true, this indicated the game was evolving beyond just another mobile shooter into a monstrous full-spectrum combat simulator, something more reminiscent of big-budget titles like Battlefield and Call of Duty. Naturally, the idea of weaving fighter jets into the fray sparked a hurricane of debate. On one hand, a large faction of fans adored the possibility. They imagined wide open battlefields, squads coordinating ground and air assaults, and a dynamic environment that could shift from close quarters combat to massive aerial showdowns in a heartbeat. On the other hand, skeptics labeled it a pipe dream, just another example of developers over-promising and setting the stage for disappointment. They pointed to other mobile shooter titles that tried to go big on ambitious features, only to scale back drastically once they realized the limitations of current hardware or encountered budget constraints. Was Delta Force Mobile genuinely leading the charge for next-generation mobile gaming, or was it falling into a familiar pattern of hype now, heartbreak later? Those who had gotten their hands on the Chinese version had mixed feelings. They praised the game's tight shooting mechanics, impressive graphics optimization, and generous progression system. At the same time, they lamented the occasional translation issues, server lag, and elements of gameplay that seemed oddly imbalanced, like certain weapons that outperformed others by a wide margin. Some speculated that these issues might be the crux of the developer's decision to postpone a global release, figuring it would be wiser to address them beforehand rather than endure a storm of negative press. That said, a growing number of players felt left behind. They argue that locking the rest of the world out of content already available in one region was simply unfair, fueling resentment and intensifying calls for official statements. It took weeks of clamoring from fans before the development team finally issued a series of public updates, albeit limited in detail. They assured everyone that their priority was to provide a stable, polished experience when Delta Force Mobile made its worldwide debut. They carefully avoided mentioning the rumored internal quarrels, the hush-hush funding deals, or the possibility that the entire enterprise was in flux. Instead, they touted their brand new roadmap, highlighting the expected open beta in February 2025 on both Android and iOS. Of course, many fans noticed the developers were cagey about sharing specific dates within that month. Still, the mere confirmation that an open beta was coming did reignite some hope. After all, a playable version would finally give the global community a taste of what the Chinese player base had been experiencing for months. But hope was not the only thing reignited. Almost immediately, longtime watchers and critics took to social media to voice concerns about the avalanche of planned features. Could Delta Force Mobile's infrastructure, its servers, engine, and development team handle everything the roadmap promised? Would the addition of fighter jets turn the game into a giant carnival of chaos, overshadowing the tight, tactical gameplay that made the initial teasers so appealing? And what about microtransactions and potential pay-to-win mechanics? The mention of major expansions and advanced gear in the leaked roadmap convinced some that the game might rely heavily on optional in-app purchases. While microtransactions are common in free-to-play titles, fans worried that the scale of these rumored expansions might tilt the balance of power toward players who could spend big. They feared an environment where success hinged less on skill and more on the thickness of one's wallet. In the midst of all this speculation, a new set of rumors emerged, suggesting that the internal environment at the development studio was more complicated than anyone realized. Anonymous individuals, supposedly former employees, posted claims on social media about intense deadlines, creative disagreements between teams, and even last-minute cancellations of features that had been in the works for months. Some went so far as to allege that management had forcibly shifted resources from one aspect of the game to another, leaving large sections of Delta Force Mobile's design incomplete. A few naysayers tried to discredit these posts as mere attempts to stir up drama, but the timing, right after the official roadmap leaked, was enough to spark suspicion among dedicated fans. If these claims were even partially accurate, it cast a shadow of doubt over the entire project's capacity to deliver on time. All this pressure boiled over one evening when the official Delta Force Mobile social media channels posted what was meant to be a routine update. Instead of calming the community, it triggered a wave of fury. And the post reiterated the developers' stance that they needed more time to ensure quality. And it ended with a somewhat vague statement. "We ask for your patience and thank you for your understanding." So immediately, the comments were flooded with a split reaction. Some longtime fans offered unwavering support, insisting that it was better to wait for a polished product. Others unleashed venomous criticism, arguing that the team was stringing everyone along with unrealistic promises. So it quickly became a microcosm of the entire controversy. A community divided between. That division only widened after certain gaming outlets seized on the drama, publishing articles with sensational headlines like Delta Force Mobile delays again. Is this the final straw, or could fighter jets derail the entire project? These pieces delved into everything. The Chinese version's early release, rumored internal power struggles, speculation about microtransactions, and the unconfirmed partnerships that might shape Delta Force Mobile's future. The widespread coverage brought fresh eyes to the controversy, as gamers who had previously never heard of the title suddenly became curious about the fiasco. Some sided with the developers, praising them for taking a cautious approach. Others accused the studio of intentionally withholding the full story. As a result, Delta Force Mobile was no longer just a niche curiosity among shooter fans. It became a hot topic of debate throughout the wider gaming world. Despite the chaos, excitement still lingered like electricity in the air. Many believed the ambition behind Delta Force Mobile was worth the wait. If everything in that leaked roadmap came to fruition, if crossplay really did become a reality, if we truly got to engage in aerial battles with fighter jets, and if console players eventually joined the fight, it could mark a seismic shift in the landscape of mobile and cross-platform shooters. According to some, this was the type of innovation that could dethrone larger franchises, pushing the boundaries of what people traditionally expected from a mobile experience. As the February 2025 open beta inched closer, more revelations trickled out. Certain industry reporters claimed to have tested a private build of the game that featured heavily revamped graphics, advanced recoil systems, and day-height cycles with dynamic weather. These improvements seemed to confirm that the development team wasn't merely passing time, they were actively refining the game's core. Meanwhile, a growing number of supposed insiders suggested that the team was scrambling to integrate new features that might not have been part of the original plan. If that was true, could these last-minute additions introduce unforeseen bugs or further delays? The worry was that the developers might be biting off more than they could chew, ultimately jeopardizing the global release date of April 24th. The official stance didn't change. The developers refused to comment on the swirling rumors, focusing instead on the forthcoming open beta. They promised robust patch updates during the test phase, encouraging beta participants to report any issues directly so they could fine-tune everything ahead of the big launch. Critics pointed out that this approach meant more potential pushbacks if serious problems were discovered. Fans who had stuck around for this long felt that another delay might be the final tipping point, potentially driving them away for good. The tension built steadily, and by the time February arrived, the community was on edge. When the open beta finally went live, albeit with the typical queue issues and temporary server overload, something surprising happened. An enormous number of players joined right from day one, far exceeding expectations. The broader gaming sphere paid attention, and curious gamers from other popular franchises decided to see what the fuss was about. While many praised the crisp shooting mechanics and well-designed maps, others encountered connectivity errors or found the user interface cumbersome. Social media became a battleground between those lauding the game's polished visuals and those lambasting the developers for not solving certain issues they felt should have been ironed out before any public test. Within days, updates began rolling out at a rapid pace, addressing some of the more glaring concerns like server lag and glitchy terrain. A spark of optimism took hold, especially when footage emerged of skilled players mastering the newly introduced fighter jets in massive skirmishes that combined ground troops, armored vehicles, and aerial support. These cinematic moments felt extraordinary for a mobile title, and content creators rushed to broadcast their experiences, declaring that Delta Force Mobile could be a game changer if these epic battles found a stable footing. Even so, an undercurrent of skepticism lingered. Was this robust performance sustainable over time, or was it a fleeting moment of success before another wave of complications? Amid all the open beta chaos, whispers continued about the team's internal operations. One user on a popular gaming forum posted a detailed thread claiming to be a former contractor who worked briefly on the game's netcode. According to this individual, tensions had escalated between different departments, one focusing on the grounded military shooter experience, and another itching to push the envelope with advanced tech like drones and jets. The thread alleged that top management stepped in, forcing a compromise that left both to answer. The developer never confirmed or denied these claims, but once again, the community found itself in a whirlwind of speculation. If management was strong-arming the creative process, could that hamper the final product? All these swirling controversies led up to the now legendary social media meltdown. As open beta testers reached the mid-phase of the trial, excited fans questioned the developers daily about progress on console releases, cross-play integration, and whether the rumored cameo-like events, possibly referencing popular movie franchises, would appear at launch. The official channels kept quiet, leading to heated debates among fans who demanded transparency. In less than 48 hours, hashtags like Delta Force Debacle and Amobilla Revolution started trending. Content creators churned out video after video, some taking a balanced stance while others stoked the flames of outrage for additional clicks. Riding this wave of tension, the development team finally broke its silence again. They posted a comprehensive update that reaffirmed the April 24th global release date and addressed some concerns about microtransactions, asserting that any NA purchases would be strictly cosmetic or quality of life improvements. But the statement conveniently avoided direct mention of the rumored staff turnover or the alleged friction within the company. The devs also acknowledged the fighter jet debate, assuring fans that they had tested these elements thoroughly for balancing. Though the post aimed to be reassuring, many fans remained skeptical, fearing that last-minute changes or hidden challenges could still derail the timeline. By now, the biggest question hung in the air like a dense fog. Could Delta Force Mobile truly deliver on all its extravagant promises, or would April 24th bring another round of excuses and setbacks? Even gaming analysts at major publications found themselves torn. Some predicted a smashing success, citing the enormous player interest, the robust performance data from the open beta, and the potential for mass appeal if the game offered accessible crossplay. Others pointed to the messy public relations, the repeated lack of clarity on certain issues, and the rumors of corporate meddling as signs of a troubled project. Regardless of people's opinions, the phenomenon of Delta Force Mobile was impossible to ignore. It had grown beyond just a title on the horizon. It was now a focal point in discussions about the future of mobile shooters, the viability of cross-platform development, and the increasingly blurred lines between mobile and traditional console or PC gaming experiences. If the developers really did manage to pull off everything in their roadmap, it could set a precedent for how future games approach multi-device support and large-scale battle. Conversely, if it imploded under the weight of its own ambition, it would serve as a cautionary tale, a stark warning that hype, no matter how fervent, cannot save a game if the fundamental execution fails. As talk of the final release approached fever pitch, fans began planning everything from day one streaming, marathons, to entire social events centered on Delta Force Mobile's official launch. People shared tips on how to hit the ground running, creating squads, choosing optimal loadouts, and dividing roles to dominate the battlefield. Forum posts with titles like "Ready for April 24th" started popping up, each containing theories about best strategies. Speculation surged around whether the developers might reveal a brand new map or an exclusive game mode on release day as a secret gift to loyal supporters who had endured the roller coaster ride of delays and rumors. On the flip side, skeptics were equally vocal, cautioning that the final release might come with shocking omissions, limited servers, or even last-minute technical difficulties. Even as the calendar inched closer to the big day, new controversies refused to die down. Rumors flared that some players had already discovered paywalls embedded in the code, though no official data supported this. In response, supporters of the dev team argued that data-mined files weren't an accurate reflection of final game design, especially since many placeholder elements appear during testing phases. Another rumor suggested that console integration was behind schedule, meaning PlayStation or Xbox players might have to wait months longer than originally touted. Though unverified, such claims kept the tension at a steady boil. Nobody could say for certain if the rumor mill was on track or simply churning out sensational bait. If there was one unifying thread through all this chaos, it was the sheer level of emotional investment. Delta Force Mobile had evolved into more than just a game. It became a high-stakes narrative with fans, critics, and developers all playing major roles. The developers bore the weight of expectation, trying to prove that their ambitious project was feasible. Fans clung to the hope that they would eventually immerse themselves in the most innovative military shooter the mobile realm had ever seen. Critics watched closely, penning think pieces about the perils of over-promising in a market where consumer loyalty is fickle and attention spans are short. As we arrive at the end of this wild journey, there's a question only time can answer. When April 24th finally dawns and Delta Force Mobile either bursts into life or collapses under its own hype, what story will we be left with? Will it be the triumphant tale of a development team that endured public scrutiny, overcame adversity, and reshaped the mobile gaming landscape? Or will it be a cautionary chronicle of a title that flew too close to the sun, undone by grandiose ambitions and clashing visions? Until that day, the best any of us can do is watch, wait, and prepare. Maybe the devs have something extraordinary hidden in their back pocket, waiting for the perfect moment. Or perhaps behind all the bravado, they're scramming just to keep up with the avalanche of promises. What we can say for sure is that Delta Force Mobile's saga has already left an imprint on the gaming world. It's shown us how quickly hype can turn into frustration, how rumor can morph into expectation, and how a single idea like fighter jets in a mobile shooter can electrify or polarize an entire community. If you've been following along from the early days, you've seen firsthand how swiftly emotions can shift from excitement to disappointment and back again. You know how powerful each scrap of information can be, stoking or soothing the fan base. Whether you still trust in the developer's vision or stand firmly in the camp that says we're looking at another overhyped dream, one truth remains: the conversation isn't going away. Discussions around Delta Force Mobile continue to rage, and if anything, they've only grown grown more intense in the final stretch leading up to release. In the end, the future of Delta Force Mobile hinges on a delicate balance between delivering the game that was promised and adapting to realities that may demand tough compromises. If the developers navigate these challenges successfully, we could witness the dawn of a new era in mobile gaming. One where large-scale battles, advanced vehicles, console-like visuals, and robust crossplay are not just lofty ideals but tangible realities. If, however, these grand plans buckle under the weight of internal turmoil, rushed final touches, or a misjudged monetization system, Delta Force Mobile may become just another name on the long list of what could have been titles. And that's precisely what makes this journey so riveting. The stakes have never been higher for a mobile game. Millions are waiting to see whether they should invest their time and potentially their money into an ecosystem that has promised the world. Even competing developers are watching closely, eager to learn from either Delta Force Mobile's shining example or its potential downfall. Rival studios might be hoping to fill any gaps left by its absence, or conversely, they could be driven to innovate faster if Delta Force Mobile raises the bar to new heights. For fans who have waited through every delay, dev update, and leaked roadmap, April 24th feels like a fateful crossroads that will either validate their faith or confirm their worst fears. So where does that leave you? Perhaps you're still riding the wave of excitement, counting the days until you can fully engage with everything Delta Force Mobile offers. Maybe you're among the wary, expecting another postponement or a wave of technical fiascos. Either way, your perspective helps shape the broader conversation. Share your viewpoints with the community, stay active in discussions, and keep your eyes peeled for any new developments as the big day approaches. It's a journey best taken together, one fueled by anticipation, critical thinking, and the undeniable thrill of stepping into the unknown. Ultimately, Delta Force Mobile's saga is a testament to the modern gaming landscape, where news can break in the blink of an eye, where rumors can spiral into full-blown controversies, and where communities can unite or splinter over a single piece of content. As you follow the unfolding drama, remember that gaming, at its core, is meant to bring people together, be it through friendly rivalry, cooperative missions, or heated debates about a title's merits. Whether Delta Force Mobile stands tall as a monumental success or is fated to stumble, the lessons learned along the way will undoubtedly shape future projects. Now that we've traversed every rumor, dissected the controversies, and peeked behind the curtain at the developer's intentions, it's time to ask, what do you think lies ahead for Delta Force Mobile? Will the final product meet your expectations, or are we in for a rude awakening? Says the promise of console releases and massive aerial combat breathes new life into the FPS genre, or is it simply too broad a vision to handle in one go? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, can a single mobile title truly redefine our expectations for on-the-go shooters? The conversation is far from over. Drop your thoughts. Prepare for the unpredictable future, and buckle up for what could be one of the wildest rides in mobile gaming history. Thank you for sticking with this deep dive into Delta Force Mobile's winding path. Whether you choose to trust the developer's roadmap or keep a skeptical eye on that official launch date, don't forget that your voice matters in shaping the direction they take. For now, all we can do is watch, speculate, and get ready for a showdown that might just leave the entire gaming world speechless. Keep your gear locked and loaded, because if Delta Force Mobile fulfills even half its promises, you're in for an experience that could reset the standard for mobile shooters. But if it doesn't, well, let's just say there will be plenty to talk about for months, maybe even years to come. Remember, April 24th is coming faster than you think. The question is, will Delta Force Mobile actually be everything it claims to be when that day arrives, or will it turn into another half-finished hope? Gaming history is being written as we speak, and we're all on the front lines of this evolving story. So stay sharp, keep your eyes open for any last-minute developments, and don't forget to share your thoughts with fellow gamers who are just as eager or anxious about what's about to unfold. This is your mission briefing, Soldier. The clock is ticking, and the next move is yours.